Titus Livy. Titus Livy was born in Paduaeum, now modern-day Padua, in a Roman province named Gallia. Not much is known about his parents, but it is known that he belonged to a moderate elite family, and though not incredibly rich, still had enough money to send him to a good school to get him educated. It was noted that Livy demonstrated sympathy for suffering people at an early age, which would have served as foreshadowing for how he would be in the future. When he was a boy and he was in his teenage years, he wrote several philosophical essays that showed he was a very literal person who lacked irony or a sense of humor. Livy was one of the first Roman historians who created a detailed history of the early Rome. Titus Livy was known then and still is known today as the historian of a city and her people. He recorded the main achievements of the Roman people and honored their commitment to Rome by trying to show that Rome would be nothing without the devout commitment from her people. Livy also created new methods in properly recording and studying the past in order to learn from it, and not to repeat their predecessors' mistakes. Livy also wished to fill the people of Rome with love of country and to motivate them to show selfishness and morality in serving it. He wanted to show people the greatness of Rome and tried to inspire them and to try hard to maintain its glory. This especially applies to the Roman military and how soldiers would leave for war to preserve the Roman way of life. Besides just morality and love of country, Livy's writing style always showed a strong love of the older Roman traditions, such as the Republic, of which he was a huge supporter. He was also very direct and emotional and inspirational in his writings to engage the attention of his listening audience through speeches or elaborate descriptions. He not only recorded Roman history, but also analyzed it and elaborated on the circumstances that began the empire, instead of just beginning when it was founded. His methods of recording Roman history were unique and tended to make shortcuts in order to condense the earlier period and focus more on the more current history relative to him. Livy also enjoyed to use persuasive speech in order to more greatly influence his readers, which in turn influenced Rome. Livy wrote about various philosophical works, narratives, and poems, but most have been lost over time. But by far his greatest work was the History of Rome, or in Latin, Ab Urbe Condita, which consisted of 142 books, and in it he wrote about the deeds of the Roman people, whether at home or at war, and arranged them chronologically by the consular year, beginning with each Ides of March. Now, out of the original 142 books, only 35 have survived until today. Livy liked to include his opinions on how Rome should be governed and help people know where they came from and why they were even here. He knew that many of the Romans were suffering, but was trying to show how it had been due to their own immoral behavior. However, a moral revival was still possible by offering some uplifting and cautionary tales. Livy influenced Roman lit through qualifying or attributive language that displayed what he saw as problems with Roman literature. Livy's writings have influenced an enormous number of other authors such as Tacitus, Sallust, and Pliny the Younger. Tacitus was influenced by Livy's writings through his emphasis on morality and learning from the past in order to help contemporary matters. Sallust borrowed some methods of Livy's process of recording history, while Pliny the Younger even told stories of Livy and of the people who would travel enormous distances to meet him. Livy also had an influence on the famous Western literary historical icon William Shakespeare, beginning at a very early age. In his play Coriolanus, he received some of his work in the details of his work and helped Shakespeare more accurately portray the ancient Rome in his plays. Livy's writings were also taught in Elizabethan grammar schools due to his writing style and his detailed descriptions of the Roman Republic. Another Western influence was Niccolò Machiavelli, who wrote a book called The Discourses of Livy, which was an examination of the structures and benefit of the Republic according to Livy's work. Throughout his historical works, Livy has displayed his rhetorical flair, literary style, and a strong moral stance, which influenced both the Roman and Western cultures. He provided mundane details unavailable elsewhere, which made him one of the most important sources of Roman general history for the period to the end of the Republic. His contributions to Rome and literature will not be forgotten.